Hey guys, just part of a little disclaimer I wanted to put here at the beginning of the video. I want this to be a new video series that I want to work on, and the planned title at this point is Beginner's Mythology, for a multitude of reasons, one of which being that I myself am a relative beginner when it comes to the topic of mythology, even though I've been a big fan of especially Greek mythology for a while. But I also plan on it being extremely informative for people who don't know anything about Greek mythology. So if you don't know much or if you know a lot, hopefully you can relate either way and enjoy these videos. But the only other thing I want to say before we get started is that as Greek mythology represents itself a lot or manifests itself a lot physically in art form, if you're uncomfortable with a slight amount of nudity and statues and stuff like that I might be showing in picture form, maybe stop watching. I don't know. It's nothing graphic, but just keep that in mind that that is a common theme throughout art of Greek mythology, and so I'm going to be using that in this video. All right, thanks guys, and enjoy. So the topic I chose for this first video revolves around a kind of troublesome distinction that I feel like a lot of people struggle with in Greek mythology quite regularly, and in fact, until I delved a little bit deeper into the world of mythology, I myself struggled with, and that's the distinction between Ares for the Greeks, or Mars for the Romans, and Athena for the Greeks, and Minerva for the Romans. Now, for those of you who know what I'm talking about, you probably already have a lead of where I'm going with this. But for those of you who don't, I'm just going to use the Greek names for the moment. We'll talk about the Roman variants in a minute. But Ares and Athena are both a god and a goddess of war. And so people quite often will ask, why are there two gods of war? Why is there a god and a goddess of war? Are there gods and goddesses of the same thing? And no, it's actually not really that common a theme. And at the moment, I struggle to think of another time where it happens, although I'm sure it has. But Ares and Athena, while both being a god and goddess of the same thing, represent different sides of it, which essentially makes them entirely different gods of different things. So Ares is the Greek god of not only war but slaughter and war, and generally represents all the darker parts of war in the eyes of the Greek, anyways. Brutal murder, like literally gory, brutal murder, bloody guts, anything that is really dark and dreary about war. That's the kind of thing Ares covers. Whereas Athena, on the other hand, is supposed to represent wisdom in war, a strategical mind of war, and the ability to think prior to fighting and strategy. This is the kind of big difference you see between the two of them. And for those of you who thought prior to this that Athena was known as the goddess of wisdom, this is where a lot of this, distinction problems come from, is that Athena was known as the goddess of wisdom in war, not wisdom and war. Her involvement in war as a concept was from the wise in war, and how one can prepare themselves or strategize to fight a certain situation, or various concepts like that. But it does quite differ from being the goddess of wisdom. Athena is never claimed to be the goddess of wisdom. And we'll see that to be more of an important concept later when we discuss other things. But generally, gods are never claimed to be innately wiser than humans. It's the one of the only, if not the only, distinguishing point of what can be considered equal grounds between mortal and immortal is wisdom. And so, while a god is known to be almost above human, above man in every other way, the only way they never claim to be above man is wisdom. I want to do a quick sidebar for a moment about the importance of Athena and Ares, because there is an interesting parallel to Ares and Athena being a god and goddess of the same or similar concept, and that is their place in the community that is Mount Olympus. And Ares is considered by many to be the second or third most important god on Olympus, for very good reason. And that's that Ares is the only legitimate son or legitimate child of any kind between Zeus and Hera. And here's where things start to differ a little bit between Greek mythology and Roman mythology. Because by all accounts, except for personal interactions, so like Ares' birth, the position he holds as the son of Zeus and Hera, he should be the number two god on Olympus. He should be the second most important and most beloved god on Olympus. And with Mars, again, that's Ares' Roman counterpart, we see this a little bit. We see this way more, actually. The month of March is named after Mars because of his massive importance to the Romans. But Ares takes a little bit of a backseat, and that's kind of an important point going forward. So it seems to be the primary reason why Ares isn't nearly as accepted as he should be, or as you would expect him to be, especially compared to Mars, has a lot to do with the fact that Ares symbolizes slaughter of war and the darkness of war, like we went over before, and this kind of makes him shunned by the other Olympians. I think he's like one of the most, if not the most, like shunned Olympian. People really don't like him, kind of unanimously, and that's different than Athena. Also, along the same vein of thought, Ares, compared to Mars, Ares is always known for losing. Ares loses a lot. He's like a lot of Greek scholars will refer to this quite often, but whenever there's a conflict, he quite often is the odd man out. He'll lose a conflict. Whereas Athena, again, along this parallel line of comparison here, Athena is known for winning. And a lot of that comes from the fact that she is known for this strategy in war, and that war can, go beyond the bounds of simply actually physically fighting. Athena's victories kind of go past just war and battle. They go into these kind of politics that occur on Mount Olympus as well. So I haven't really said who Athena is yet. So Athena is the daughter of Zeus. And interestingly enough, she was actually born out of Zeus's forehead. He kind of gives birth to her through his head, which is very strange. Even by Greek mythology terms, it's very strange. There's only one other situation I can think of that's anywhere similar to this, and that's Bacchus, and we'll go over that later. But Athena is the child of Zeus through kind of Zeus's birth through his forehead. But she does have a mother, which is strange probably to you, unless you've heard this story before. And her mother is Metis. And Metis is a goddess who Zeus kind of swallowed due to a certain prophecy about her that I might get into at a later point. But what you have to know for now, if you want to keep anything out of this, is that Metis is the goddess of craftiness, underhandedness, and deceit, stuff like that, trickery. And those terms are quite often linked to Zeus. You see this a lot from Zeus as someone who can kind of use his intelligence and craftiness to get around a lot of problems he would otherwise have and trick people into getting his way quite often. And this kind of seems to be present in Athena and her in terms of her being able to win like any challenge that comes her way. So now, although my main focus here is on the Greek mythology part of these stories, because that's my main influence, but let's talk for just a minute about the Roman variants of both of these gods, or god and goddess. And the main difference to be made with Mars, anyways, versus Ares, is that Mars was actually known for occasionally showing mercy on those who deserved it, those of his opponents that deserved it anyways, versus Ares, who was known for kind of brutally just killing anyone who he ever fought, as long as he was able to, given the chance. Now, Athena's difference from Minerva, the main one that it can be made quite distinguishably, is that Athena was born from Zeus, fully armored and known as a strong goddess of war who would win her battles, consistently, whereas Minerva was more known as a goddess of like arts and like various things of that capacity, and associated a lot less with war, symbolically speaking. And that's kind of a huge difference because you see a lot less, interrelated aspects between Minerva and Mars than you do between Ares and Athena. So I think that's a rather holistic approach to that topic, guys, on Athena and Ares and their Roman counterparts and how all those interrelate. There's certainly a lot more to go over on this topic, but I wanted this to be more of a surface evaluation of this interaction, so I don't think I'm going to be going any farther into it than I did now. Maybe in future videos, but for now I think this is a proper approach to this topic. If you liked what you saw here, if you liked the information I was giving out, go ahead and comment or do whatever you want to do to show that you support this video. And hopefully people like it enough, or that it'll be easier to make these videos in the future, although I do plan on doing it regardless. This is more to just test the waters at first, alright? If you like the video, if you watch the video, if you're here just because I'm talking and you want to hear me talk, I appreciate it. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you next time.